Good morning, I'm Cody Henriksen. Today we're going to be continuing on with the Java design and class structure. Today we're going to make it so we can go further than simply just accessing the internal state. We're going to look at how we can actually update or change the internal state. Again, you can see we're in our DebugDuck class we've been working with previously. We've already covered how to make a constructor, overload constructors, as well as how to write the getters or the accessor methods. Today we're going to be adding to that by adding the setters or the mutator methods. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So as you can see right here, we have our private data members, and when we first initialize them inside our constructor, that's the first time and the only time we're able to change them currently, because the only thing we have to access the internal state is simply to return those values right there, and so it simply just gives us back a copy of the value for the primitives and a reference to the unchangeable value of that string. So let's go ahead and make it so we can actually update or change our internal state of that. So again, I'm going to use the feature to collapse out my code to make us have a bit more space. We can still see what we have though. Again, just like before, there's not a specific rule as to where we put these methods inside our Java program. However, I like to do my getters first and then my setters. And that's always after my constructor as well. So I'll just go right here after my last getter and make a new comment right here just with whack whack and say setters. And again, inside here, what we're going to do is we're going to make it so we can make a setter for this. And so in order to change the internal state of this, we have to go through and update those values. When we're updating values, we don't actually need to make a change to the actual, when we're updating values, we don't need to give anything back. We simply need to be an update to the change. And so those methods for all the setters then will be a void type, because we don't actually change. When we change something, we don't need to give anything back. We simply just make the change itself. So all of the return types for all setters are going to be void type. And for the structure of the method, it's going to be public, of course, because we want to be able to change those externally. If we do want to make something not able to change, we simply just don't write a setter for that in the later projects. But it's public, then void, and then the method name is always going to be set as a prefix, and then again, camel case, just like before, for the actual variable name. Then we have, because we're changing something, we have to have a parameter because we have to actually change a value. And the parameter will be the exact same thing we see up here in the declaration section without a visibility modifier. And then inside the body of code, all we have to do is simply assign the parameter itself into the data member. Makes it really easy. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So again, we start off with public for all of them, void for all the return types, and we'll start off again at the top with name. So instead of get name, this one will be set name, and then parens. We do need to have a parameter for this. It's going to be a string type, and I like to use the same name as the actual data member so I know what I'm doing, because again, when I'm using this, I use the this dot as my modifier, so I always know which one I'm talking about, whether I'm talking about the parameter or if I'm actually talking about the data member that belongs to the class itself. And so the way we set that up is we do this dot and then name equals name. And the magic of Eclipse or some other IDEs, you can see right now immediately that I have that green name right here matching this green right here of the parameter. If I click on it and highlight, we see that they actually match. Oh, very cool. Same thing with over here, I click on the blue. The this.name goes up here and matches with the name that's the data member itself. And because I'm using this dot, I'm doing an explicit reminder to myself, the programmer, and any other person who looks at my code that I'm talking about the data member and not some local variable, or more mistakenly often enough, simply assigning the parameter into the parameter, which doesn't do very much because reflecting a value, that's boring. But this way I can actually change a value. And so to do this, let's go ahead and take a test of this over here so we can update that value. As you can see over here inside my controller, I have a scanner right here that I can use for input. I've already initialized it in its constructor. And I'm going to go ahead and right after I display the name, I'm going to start off with SuperDuck and we'll change that name really fast. So let's go ahead and ask a question for that. So I have right here inside my controller, I did a quick little question. What should my new name be? And so I have that, and then I say a string answer is equal to input.next line. So I'm going to grab whatever the user types into the program and bring that into this. And then after I have that answer, I'm going to use that variable answer. I'm going to assign it into my actual variable. So let's do this. So I'll do temp.setName, and parens, I'm going to pass it as a parameter answer. So that value the user typed in goes into the variable answer. I will then take that variable they put in and put that inside now the object itself, and then we'll retrieve the value again with a new repeat of this thing. So I retrieve the name from the user. I use temp.setName. I take that variable answer and I assign it into by using the setName method we just wrote. And I'm going to retrieve that answer now to see to make sure that it actually changed the internal state of that object. So we'll go ahead and run that really quick. We'll save this and hit play. And what should your new name be? And instead of SuperDuck, we'll do CodyDuck. And a whole bunch of exclamation points. And the DebugDuck's new name is CodyDuck. So see, we can have it make sure that happens. So we took the value right here. I retrieved the information from the user with that input.next line. I could use another variable or anything like that to make that happen. I then assigned that variable as a parameter to the setName method, which goes over here. It goes to the public void setName method we just defined inside our DebugDuck class. I take the name parameter and I assign it from the right-hand side right here into the data member on the left-hand side of the equal sign using the assignment operator, and I replace the existing value with this new value. And so that's how you can modify internal state. The same thing will work for every one of our other data members as well. So go ahead and write those out really quick. And so they'll all be public, they will all be void, and set and then color, and then parens string color, and inside the squigs, this dot color equals color. And so I just always, for each of the data members, I simply write the public void set, the name of the variable, whichever it happens to be, and then the parameter itself will match exactly up here in the data member section. And then I just write inside the block of code for it, this dot color equals color. If I don't do that correctly, I won't actually replace the value. I'll either do reflection or simply just waste some time. So you want to make sure you actually do that appropriately. And I always use this dot because that way I know I'm explicitly talking about the current object, and it's a great way to keep track of that. So let's do that for the last two as well. And so for all the setters, all I have to do is simply just do public void set the name of the variable followed by a parens and the actual type and variable name right there inside it. I always use the this dot, so I explicitly tell myself and any other programmer who's reading my code that I know that I'm talking about the data member and not the local variable. And since I have that local variable right here, we can see it easily assigns it over in green. I'm taking the green value or the right-hand value and assigning it into the left. So I have a nice visual reminder of how I'm doing that, and every one of these will update appropriately. It's important to know that when we're using a void method that we always make sure we do the appropriate things. This is another good reason why we shouldn't copy paste, because if you copy paste all these things and simply just change the variables, sometimes you might forget to change the stuff inside, and that would be bad and sad, and you don't want to do that. So make sure you always have them right there. Thanks again, cheers, and have a good day.